Well, welcome back to the program. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for Opinion Court. Please do get in touch with us on 22422. That's our SMS line. At Citizen TV Kenya, you can reach out to us on Twitter. And of course, on Facebook, we go by that name as well. Please use the hashtag Opinion Court. It helps us to track your conversation. Let me introduce my guest in studio. To my immediate right is Kimani Waishungwa. He's a member of parliament and he represents TNA and of course the Jubilee Coalition. In the middle is Edward Kisengani. He's our resident political analyst, and across from me, Honorable Jakoyo Midiwo, who of course represents ODM and the Court Coalition. Gentlemen, you're all welcome to the program. We have various pressing issues, basically all revolving on the politics of 2017, which seems to have already begun to unravel. But I want to start with you, Kimani, because the Deputy President appears to be under siege, and this is something that pundits say will certainly affect the relationship within Jubilee in the coming days. He is under siege in the Rift Valley. Various corruption scandals have been measured against him. Is it a case where he has put himself in this position, or is someone trying to fix him?
Let me say, if the Deputy President is under siege, he's basically under siege by our opponents, and of course a few of their sympathizers within Jubilee, who imagine that maybe Jubilee would be weaker. And you put it right. It's all about the 2017 elections and the 2022 elections. And there are those from the opposition and a few of their sympathizers within Jubilee, and I think they are known, who imagine that Jubilee as a coalition, and now as one solid party under the Jubilee Alliance Party of Kenya, will be weaker without William Ruto. But let me say it's wishful thinking for them, because Jubilee, if anything, is getting stronger day by day. That is why Jubilee is their plans to do away with TNA and URP and consolidate into one solid party that will unite the people of this country. Plans
that have been fought vehemently by a section of Jubilee members.
And to be fair, the people who have been fighting the coming together of URP and TNA under as JAP are basically members of the opposition, and they are sympathizers within Jubilee. And I think it's actually a few rebels who have actually stated clearly that they will be getting out of Jubilee. And case in point is someone like Isaac Ruto, who has clearly stated that he will not be in Jubilee. Therefore, that's somebody who already is working with the opposition. And that's why I say it's the opposition and their sympathizers, a few of their sympathizers, like Isaac Ruto. And I think it's quite clear to everybody who Isaac Ruto is working for and what they are working toward.
And so you're saying he's working for Raila Odinga, is what you're saying?
Of course. He's working for Raila Odinga and Jakoyo Midiwo, of course, yeah. But I think what needs not to be lost to Kenyans is the most fundamental objective that brought William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta together in 2012-2013. And I keep saying, I remember Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto saying, if they lose the presidency and they manage to unite the people of Kenya, they will have won in a big way. And God only gave them a bonus of giving them a win in the elections. And I think that is the most fundamental thing that they are trying to do up to now, to unite the people of this country. Of course, there are those within, amongst our friends in the opposition, who do not believe in a united nation. They believe in congregating a number of communities against a few other communities. And I think that is a script we saw in 2007, is a script we have seen them try to chat about from 2012 up to late last year. And I think it's only fair to say, for them, if they were to seek my unsolicited advice, I would probably just advise them to also put their house in order. I think they are lost in somewhere between. Kalonzo Musyoka is struggling to find his bearing.
Well, we'll talk about their house a little later. And on the question of uniting the country, there are various things that divide Kenya: economy, insecurity. But that's a topic for another day. Jakoyo, your coalition basically worked very closely with the Deputy President 2005, 2006, and up until that hotly contested 2007 election. But they say friends make the worst enemies. Is this what we're witnessing?
Well, you know, first of all, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome us with some nice pleasantries.
Well, the cameras weren't rolling then, but okay.
Back to my young brother. And, nice to meet the prof on the show again.
Right.
But it's interesting, you know, my young brother reminds me of J.J. Kamotho and the Okekemayos of the 80s. Eh? You know, you ask him a straight question.
Right.
About Jubilee, particularly the deputy president and his issues. Here is a Kenyan who is privileged to sit in the second highest office in the land. He is in every land scandal, every list of corruption. You know, these are real issues because leaders must lead by example. I saw the other day the deputy president saying, daring Raila, that if he wants political contests, he's ready. There was really nothing to contest. We all said, clear your name. How is it that every time the deputy president, who is a Jubilee stalwart, every time he's in trouble, when he was caught in the maize scandal, he was the Minister of Agriculture, he blamed Raila and Raila's family. When it was ICC, Raila has taken me. When now he's caught in the hospital scandal, it is Raila's PA. And everybody knows Herbert Ojwang worked for Honorable Raila when Raila was Minister for Energy during the Kanu era. So you know, real issues. The fact that we as leaders, we have the audacity to be blaming others and running away from this scourge of corruption in itself is despicable. I would have loved a scenario where all and sundry in Jubilee and CORD say enough is enough of corruption, land grabbing, and ethnicity. Then we would be working towards a Kenya in 100 years. These are real leaders. You know, when you see a case, imagine this. People are talking about the plunder or likely plunder of 28 billion Kenya shillings. Billion. And then nobody at our level is talking about corruption. Nobody is even talking about the Chinese.
I don't think
Now I'll let you talk. So, you know, that's why I told you, you know, when we come here, we need to respect the show a bit because Kenyans are watching.
Please, to your point, sir.
I am just talking. So this is a real issue. I think it is time the government of Jubilee dealt with the issue of corruption, beginning with the deputy president. It must be, somebody has to do something. You cannot 60 days ago, just under 60 days ago, tell us that everybody else, the CSS, the president talks good. We clapped, we all stood. Said it's not, and I love the president for it. When he said people to step aside, and then here is a man amidst them who is accused. His name is all in all these things. You know, somebody has to own up.
Kimani.
You know, Anne, it's quite hypocritical of my friend Jacoyo to say that in every land scandal, including the molasses plant in Kisumu, William Ruto's name is there. And I think it's only fair when you talk about figures, 28 billion shillings, because I am privileged to be the vice chair of the Public Investments Committee, and Herbert Ojwang did appear before the committee. Right. And I'll give you facts that Herbert Ojwang brought to the committee. One, he brought a tape, a recorded tape of 23 minutes of him arguing with the Chinese over a bribe, an alleged bribe that was given by the Chinese to one Raila Odinga, over issues to do with building a new car park at the Eldoret MTRH hospital for 2 billion shillings. A car park for 2 billion shillings, and all that the Jubilee government has done is to stop a 17 billion scandal that was in the making. One that was being done probably by the Chinese, this Herbert, and of course Raila's henchmen. You'll not forget that Raila was a supervisor of government ministries, and it is again a lie for Jacoyo to pretend that Raila Odinga was not in power at the time when this scandal was crafted. Anyang' Nyong'o, who is the former Secretary General of their party in ODM, was the Minister for Health. And that is when this scandal of 17 billion shillings, and I'm telling you, not to build wards, to build a car park for 2 billion shillings was crafted. what the Jubilee government has done was to stop that scandal. I would challenge Jacoyo to table any evidence either here or anywhere, because I sit in that committee. Herbert Kajwang himself never tabled any evidence of any contract signed worth 28 billion shillings. In fact, the ministry, and you've heard it, the ministry did clarify that all that has been done on this transaction was transfer of land from prisons, the prisons department, which is a government department, to the hospital. Transfer of land with no cash. There is no contract that has been signed. There is nothing. All that has been done is an advertisement that was done for expressions of interest. For now, people to bid and tell us how much will it cost.
I want to bring in profit.
The other important fact. Let me finish.
Okay.
One very important, a final point.
Right.
The upgrading that was to be done by Herbert Ojwang and his company, his group, was to bring the hospital to a 1,000 bed capacity from 600 bed capacity. And he told the committee, and these are facts that were tabled before the committee, that the new hospital that he alleges is to be done is a 2,000 bed capacity, 3 times the capacity. And the figures he's talking about and what Jacoyo is speaking of, 28 billion, have not appeared anywhere. There are no contracts, and I will challenge him to table any evidence.
Fair enough. I want to bring in Prof into the conversation, and you know, Prof, the Herbert Ojwang issue can only be discussed so far on this program because it remains allegations that are being investigated. We are not an investigating body, so we cannot authenticate the truth to it or not. But the fact of the matter is that the Deputy President is under siege, as I started saying, in his Rift Valley home with the corruption scandals. Do not forget he still has the ICC hanging over his head, which President Uhuru Kenyatta has managed, basically to do away with, at least it seems. How does this affect the equation of 2017? Does he remain a viable partner in the Jubilee coalition?
And I'll answer this question in a slightly withdrawn manner. But I don't want to hit anybody, but let me just make this point clear. First of all, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah is out of order, because I think we are not coming here to defend people. What we want to do is to inject some sense in this discussion. He is under siege, and we are saying, how does that affect? I think that's so. When we go back to Ojwang and the others, we lose the conversation. William Ruto is under siege. The frequency of the scandal surrounding him must worry even his own boss, President Uhuru Kenyatta, because why would they be choosing him every time there is a scandal? I would like to tell you this: that
is he the fall guy for the administration?
Yes, I want to request you to bear with me on this. I encourage you to help him, and even everybody that you are blaming in Jubilee, to read Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power. You are a politician who does not understand the art of politics, and you are going to be punished heavily, Bwana Ichung'wah, for this. Because one of the rules is this.
Classroom politics, of course,
well, of course, you can say classroom politics, ignore it at your own peril. One of the things that it says, and it's a basic one, is that don't try to overtake your master. Don't try to outdo your master. That is the first thing. Speak very little, less than necessary. Those are some of the rules of power. And also, bring your enemies close. If you look at what the Deputy President is doing, he is reckless in his answers, in his responses to the people who are criticizing him. He can still make his point very clear to say, I am not in this scandal, without threatening anybody.
For instance?
For example, he said that, if Raila's team really are ready for battle, I am ready to battle them.
That was reckless.
That was reckless because he needed to demonstrate humility. In fact, the same rules in Robert Greene's work says that, you must not be predicted, have some indirection. In fact, learning about the game of power requires that you have a certain way of thinking about the world, which is completely unique. Shifting of perspective, mastering your emotions, and also showing indirection and the humility. The Deputy President does not have that. So how does it affect 2017? It affects 2017 because increasingly he will become a liability to the Uhuru Kenyatta campaign. Because if you look at the president, he demonstrated that humility in a way that he looks sometimes reserved, he controls sometimes his emotions and does not want to take on the people he's leading. Because you are already in a privileged position and you start threatening people, it will be a mismatch. It's like taking a local person from Kaloleni who is learning boxing to fight Floyd Mayweather. That is not going to work. Okay. So therefore, Anne, I would like him, I encourage my brother to go and talk to the president, the deputy president, that he is increasingly becoming a liability to Jubilee, and the people are watching these scandals, these threats in the Rift Valley. If you overlook the fact that the Rift Valley vote is under threat because of the deputy president, you will realize it when it is very late.
Professor,
briefly, please.
Professor, I'll tell you one thing, Professor. One, the Rift Valley vote is solid and is intact. If you look at the people fighting the deputy president in the Rift Valley, Gideon Moi, Isaac Ruto, they only do that in the media. They will never do that on the ground because they know that the deputy president's ground and Jubilee's ground in the Rift Valley is still solid.
I want to ask
the question of whether the deputy president will be a liability or an asset to Jubilee come 2017 and even 2022 is actually what our opponents are grappling with.
No,
and theorists like yourself, Professor, let me finish. Because they are working with that theory that if you destroy William Ruto and his reputation, then you make Jubilee weaker. But we are telling them that they will stand no chance because we are clear, and they think the noise they are making is going to distract the Jubilee administration in delivering on all the mandates.
Allow Midiwa to respond
just
to that.
One quick one.
Let Midiwa respond to that.
You know, first of all, a few things. Kimani Ichung'wah, as a member of parliament, I know you are new, and you are the vice chair of Public Investment Committee.
Who was voted for nationally?
They're saying, well, I think the voting forth, I've taken my time to look at the results, and I congratulate you for it. If you think it's that important,
let's just stick to the topic.
But I think as a vice chair of Public Investment Committee, to come to our TV show and castigate a witness before you bring a report to Parliament is certainly out of order. I am teaching you how it works.
That's why I told him it's out of order.
Yeah, exactly. Number two, I did say no. You have talked deeply into what you are investigating, so you have already taken sides as a politician, which you should, but should be kept somewhere else until at an appropriate time. I'm just helping you.
Sir, please.
Number two, I have said that you are deputy president is involved in every other scandal. Every other scandal. I didn't mention the jet, the Hustler jet, and everything that is in Jubilee that Kenyans are being treated to. Just about everything. Exactly. But let me just tell you this. You have mentioned my party leader's name.
Yes.
If you put a blind 5-year-old kid and gave them a 10-foot pole and told them, blindfolded them, and said, walk, and you line up Raila and Ruto, they touch the most corrupt or the one who is mentioned in this corruption. The man mentioned, let me just make it clear, most, it will not be Raila. That pole will not land on Honorable Raila.
You say
most mentioned.
For the purposes just of clarity, they remain allegations. Mentioned frequently or not.
That's what I said, mentioned.
Right.
You see, Anne, the main point is this.
Yes, and we must come to a close, gentlemen.
If we don't want to lose this argument, the main point is we are not discussing whether I am not involved in judging whether these scandals are true or not. But there are two things that we are discussing. The frequency of the scandals mentioned and his responses and what the impact it has on his leadership. Now, he called me a theorist. I wanted to go practical and demonstrate to him that I'm practical. Recently, when the president visited Kericho, I think all expectations across the country was that the president would go directly and start bashing who? Gideon Moi and William and Isaac Ruto. The president instead chose to ruffle waters by bashing the press because he did not have anybody to blame. And so the signals we are getting is that, does the president become, is he comfortable that his deputy is being mentioned in this? This is a practical situation. You can also ignore it. I am telling you for free. But go and pick Robert Green and help Mheshimiwa Ruto to change things. Otherwise, he's under siege, and very soon, some members of Jubilee will start saying that he's a liability to...
And we in court, we are loving
I'll allow gentlemen, all of you to make final comments on the same and on a specific question. Jacoya Midio asked you very specifically why it is that everyone else other than the deputy president who's being mentioned in scandals is stepping aside for corruption investigations. What is your position on that?
I said for one, the 28 billion scandal that Jacoya has mentioned. There's no scandal. The scandal is what the Jubilee government stopped from happening when they cancelled the 17 billion construction modernization project of MTR.
So there's no reason for him to step aside.
There's absolutely no reason to step aside. Two, I have told you, is a script by the opposition, and there are a few of their sympathizers, maybe within Jubilee and outside, that if you create a wedge between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto, you definitely will make Jubilee weaker. And they know that is a weak point. And the weak point is to attack one of them and try and create a wedge between them. And that's what I've said, they will not succeed.
Strike the shepherd, scatter the flock. Prof, your final question is, and I asked you this, is he the man, for lack of a better term, that we love to hate? Is he the fall guy for this administration?
Actually, he is. And just to quickly add that politics is an investment. It's about interests. The promises he might have made to his constituency are not happening, so they are saying no. And it is also wrong for you to keep saying that the president, they are weakening Jubilee. I think Uhuru could be very strong maybe in 2017 because...
With or without
without Ruto. And I have always argued on this show that probably he doesn't need Ruto now. Because I don't think the president would like to pick up these scandals and domesticate them. No, he won't.
Finally, Jacoya, your final thoughts.
I agree, but I always say about my friend, Deputy President William Ruto.
Your former friend.
He is my friend. He's my friend. Yeah, we are colleagues.
You together always?
No, I don't take tea with William. He is now deputy president. Those people are hard to reach.
But I always say fair enough.
He is the smartest politician living today with zero wisdom. The smartest politician of our times, but with zero wisdom.
Why?
A lot of energy, because he gets into things that are anti-spirit of public service. He wants to hurt the people that he swore with the Bible to protect. And you know this thing of corruption, unless we deal with it, I want to tell my friend and the friends in Jubilee.
Yes, briefly, sir.
That what is bedeviling them? If they are glorifying it the way Kimani seems to think, we are so home and we are laughing. And we will laugh all the way to the bank.
And on that note, plenty, I suppose, for the DP's team to think about this evening. I thank you, gentlemen, for your time and your thoughts. And, of course, we'll be back with more news after these messages. Don't go away.